Hello students, now we are going to start a new chapter. This chapter will cover the concepts related to pointers. Pointers are a very special topic in C as well as C++ language. I have seen many students afraid of pointers, but I hope that after going through this chapter, you will have enough confidence to deal with the programs involving the concept of pointers. Pointers are one of the strongest but also one of the most dangerous features in C and C++. For example, uninitialized pointers or the pointers which contain invalid values, they can cause your system to crash. Perhaps worse, it is easy to use pointers incorrectly, creating bugs that are very difficult to find. So it is very easy that a program you wrote which involved pointers, that program has some errors in it. So it is very easy to have errors in a program which involves pointers, and that will result in a bug which is even more difficult to find. Then why are we using pointers? There are several reasons for this. The first one is they provide the means by which functions can modify their calling arguments. This thing will become clear to you when we will study the concepts related to functions and how can we call functions using different methods. Okay. And the second thing is pointers support dynamic allocation, that is obtaining memory from the system dynamically. Dynamically means while running your program you decide whether you want to allocate memory to a variable or not. Okay, so that is called dynamic allocation. If you are not able to understand what is dynamic allocation, I will explain these concepts in a later chapter related to dynamic memory allocation. Okay, and the third thing is pointers can improve the efficiency of certain routines. So these are the various reasons why we use pointers even if they are so dangerous to use. So now let us move to the concepts, basic concepts related to pointers. So the first concept is that of the addresses. Every byte in the computer's memory has an address. So every byte means this is your computer's memory, and it has been divided into set of bytes. Okay, so here every byte has an address. Okay, suppose this is 1 byte, so it can have an address. For example, its address is 1000, next byte 1001, 1002 and so on. Okay, addresses are numbers just as they are for houses on a street. Just like we have house numbers, similarly we have byte numbers or addresses for the bytes. If you have 1 megabyte of memory, for example, then the highest address is 1048575. How I calculated this? What is 1 MB? 1 MB is 2 raised to power 20 bytes. Okay, and if the addresses start from 0, then the last address will be 2 raised to power 20 minus 1, and if you calculate it, it will be equal to this value. Okay, your program, when it is loaded into memory, occupies a certain range of these addresses. So as you know that when you run your program, the program in the executable form is loaded into the computer's RAM, that is the computer's main memory. Okay, and in the main memory it is placed somewhere. Okay, so it occupies certain memory, certain range of these addresses. Okay, this means that every variable and every function in your program has an address. It is stored at a particular address. Okay, so this figure is I think able to make the concepts more clear. So what are we saying here? Suppose this is the system memory, the main memory. So the main memory starts at 0. The first address, the first byte has an address 0. Okay, and from there on the addresses keep on ascending like this, and the last address is 655359. Okay, so these are the bytes, and every byte has a address. Okay, and this is your program. In your program you created certain variables. Variable 1 whose data type is integer, variable 2 whose data type is character, variable 3 whose data type is float, variable 4 again integer data type. Okay, so these are the 4 program variables. Okay, and when your program is loaded into the memory, then as I said that it occupies a certain range of addresses. Okay, so assume that this program is loaded at address 314759. So the first byte this program is occupying is this. Okay, so the program, this is the place where this program has been stored in the memory, and it is not necessary that every time you run the program it will be placed in the same memory location. The next time you run the program, it might be placed at some other location in the memory. Okay, and the variables are here. So variable 1 is an integer type variable. So integer type variable occupies 2 bytes. Okay, so it is stored at address 314800 and 314801. Okay, so these 2 bytes are occupied by this variable. And then you have a character variable. Character variable occupies 1 byte, and it is stored at the next address, that is 314802. Okay, and then you have float variable. Float variable occupies 4 bytes. So it is stored at the addresses starting from 314803 to 314806. Okay, so these 4 bytes are occupied by this float variable. And then again you have an integer variable. Integer variable occupies 2 bytes. So it is occupying 2 bytes, 314807, 314808. Okay, so this is how the program and the addresses, the program has certain addresses in the memory. Okay, then there is a special operator in C++ that is called the address of operator, and it is denoted by this ampersand. You can find the address occupied by a variable using the operator address of. Okay, for example, there is a variable count. You have declared a variable count, int count, in your program. It has some value, suppose count equal to 10. So what will happen after executing these 2 lines? A variable has been created. Created means this variable has been placed in the memory, and this variable has this name count. So we can access this variable using this name count. It has got value 10. It is of type integer, so it will occupy 2 bytes in memory. and these 2 bytes will have some address, suppose 1000 and 1001. So this is the base address, the starting address, where the memory has been allocated, the first byte has been allocated, that is called the base address of the variable. Okay, so the base address of this variable count in this example is 1000, and it is occupying 2 bytes, 1000 and 1001. The value stored at this variable is 10. Okay, now we have created another variable m. M is ampersand count. So what is ampersand? Ampersand is the address of operator. So what m will do? M will store the base address of count. Okay, so when you try to print the value of m, what will be the output? The output will be the address of count, because m is equal to address of count. And what is the address of count? Address of count is, the base address of count is 1000, right? So m is equal to ampersand count places into m the memory address of the variable count, right? This address is the computer's internal location of the variable. It has nothing to do with the value of count. It only stores the address of the count, right? You can think of ampersand as returning the address of. Therefore, preceding assignment statement means m receives the address of count. Okay, so here is an example. So what we have done, we have created 3 variables of type integer. Int variable 1 equal to 11, int variable 2 equal to 22, int variable 3 equal to 33. So we have created these 3 variables, and what are we doing? We are printing the addresses of these variables. Ampersand var1 means address of variable 1. It will print the address of the first variable. Then ampersand var2, it will print the address of variable 2. Ampersand var3, it will print the address of variable 3, right? So the ampersand operator means the address of operator, and it has nothing to do with the value stored at these variables. Okay, so it has nothing to do with 11, 22 and 33, right? So before moving forward, let us try to implement this program in code blocks. Okay, so what we did in the program, we created 3 variables. Int var1 equal to 11, int var2, sorry, there is no space, 22, int var3 equal to 33. So we have created 3 variables. When we will execute this program, these 3 variables will be created. It means memory will be allocated to these 3 variables, and the values 11, 22 and 33 will be stored in these 3 variables, var1, var2 and var3 respectively. And as these variables will have some address, we can print that address using the ampersand operator. For example, cout ampersand var1 means address of variable 1. Similarly, cout ampersand var2, it will print the address of variable 2. Cout ampersand var3, it will print the address of variable 3. Okay, now let's try to run this program. Let's save it. Pointer basics.cpp. So these are the addresses returned by this program. Here you can see that we have 0x appended at the beginning of each of the addresses. 0x means the system is giving us the hexadecimal addresses. Okay, so 61FF0C, this is the address of the first variable. 61FF08, the address of the second variable. 61FF04, that is the address of the third variable. And you can note here that the addresses are decreasing. Here C means, in hexadecimal notation, A means 10, B means 11, C means 12, and integer in this on this system is occupying 4 bytes. So from 12 to 12, the first variable is starting at address 12, 11, 10 and 9. So this is occupying these 4 bytes. Then the next variable starting at 8 is occupying 4 bytes, 8, 7, 6 and 5, and the last variable starting at base address 4 is also occupying 4 bytes, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Okay. So why are the addresses decrementing? Can you guess the reason? Let us have this as an assignment to you. Okay. So find out why the addresses are not in the increasing order. Why the consecutive addresses given here in this program are in decreasing order. Okay. Let's try to run this program again and see whether the addresses are same as the previous run or the addresses are different. Addresses are same in this case, but not all the time you run this program will give the same addresses. Try to run this program at different times and you will see that the addresses output by the program are different. Okay. So now let us return back to the presentation. The next operator is the asterisk operator, that is star. Okay, star is the complement of ampersand. Complement means in the concept of pointers, this ampersand and this asterisk operator, they are used means complementary. So one is incomplete without the other. Okay, it is a unary operator. Ampersand is also a unary operator. So asterisk is also a unary operator. What is the function of asterisk? Asterisk returns the value located at the address that follows. What does this mean? For example, if M contains the memory address of the variable count, remember in the previous example we took a variable count had some value, then we created another variable which could hold the memory address of count. Okay, I have not shown how to declare this variable. There is a special syntax for declaring this variable also. This program is actually incomplete. This whatever I am writing here is incomplete, so it will not run without another statement that I will explain in a moment. Okay, but for the time being, let us assume that M is a variable which can contain the address of count. Okay, and then we have created another variable of type integer, int q equal to star n, q equal to star n. What it means? Star means the value located at the address. So what is M? M is having the address of count. So M is, we can say, an address, and before the address we have placed this asterisk. It means the value stored at this address. So it will place the value of count into queue. Okay. Let me draw some diagram for this. Initially we have created a count variable. Count variable is placed at some location in the memory whose base address is 1000. Total number of bytes, we assume that it is occupying 2 bytes and the value stored here is 10. Then we created another special variable, although I have not shown how to create it, but just assume that we have created it. This is a special variable and it will also have some address, base address, okay, and it is storing the address of count. So what is lying inside this variable? The address of count, okay. Then we have created another variable whose name is q. It is also having some base address in the memory, okay, it is occupying some bytes in the memory. And what is q equal to? Q equal to star m. Star means value at. Star means value at. So when we try to read this, it means q is equal to value at m. Value at m. What is the value at m? Value at m is m is an address, value at this address, okay. So q is value at m, so we can say that q is value at what is stored in, what address is stored in m? 1000 is stored in m, okay. So what is the value at 1000? The value at 1000 is 10. So indirectly we are copying the value of count into q, right? You can think of asterisk as at address, value at address, okay. It is also called dereference operator, sometimes known as indirection operator or the contents of operator, okay. So it is used to print the value stored at a particular address. In this case it is giving us the value stored at address in m, and the address in m is 1000, value at that address is 10, right? Both ampersand and asterisk have high precedence than all other arithmetic operators except the unary minus, with which they are equal. So when you go back and see the precedence table, then you will find out that ampersand and asterisk are placed above all the arithmetic operators except unary minus, okay. They have equal precedence as unary minus, right? Then comes the important thing, that is the pointer variables. A variable that holds an address is called the pointer variable or simply the pointer. In the previous example, m stored the address of count. So I didn't told you that m is a pointer, but now you can say that m is a pointer because m is storing the address of count, okay. This address is location of another object. So in this case the address stored at m is the location of count, okay. For example, if one variable contains the address of another variable, the first variable is set to point to the second. So here what is m doing? M is pointing to count, okay. Let me clear this stuff, okay. So what this figure is showing us, these are the memory addresses. This is memory starting at 1000, okay, and the variable, some variable is stored in memory at address 1003. Let us take the same example of count, okay. you created the variable count and initialized it to value 10. So this variable will be stored somewhere in the memory. Let us suppose that count is stored at address 1003. Okay, so this 1003 and 1004, because integer occupies 2 bytes, these will contain the value 10. Okay, and then we are creating the pointer variable. Even at this point I am not telling you how to create the pointer variable, but you have come to know that m is a pointer variable. Okay, so m is storing the address of count. M is storing the address of count. It means m is pointing to count. Where is m? M is, this is count, and this is m. M is storing the address of count. So m, the address of m is 1000, but because this is a pointer variable, it will store an address. So what address it is storing? The address of count. Although count occupies 2 variables, but the pointer will store only the base address, that is 1003. So it is storing 1003. So we can say that this is pointing to count. So that is why this is called a pointer. Okay. So now we come to the original question, how to create a pointer variable. A pointer declaration consists of a base type, an asterisk, and the variable name. For example, m is a pointer variable, right? So how to create variable? First of all, let me write the same statement, int count equal to 10. Now let me write the missing statement. Okay, what was the next statement? M contained the address of the count. And what was the missing statement? The missing statement is how to create a pointer variable. So pointer declaration consists of a base type. Base type means whose address this m variable will store. This m variable will store the address of a count. What is count? Count's data type? Count's data type is integer. So m will also be of integer type. Then we need an asterisk, okay, and then the variable name. This is how we can create a pointer, right? So type star name. Data type is int star and name is m. Okay. Base type of the pointer defines what type of the variable the pointer can point to. Here the pointer is pointing to count, whose data type is int. So base type of pointer will also be int. Why can't we do this? Float star m and then m contains the address of count. Can we do this? Can we create a pointer variable of type float and that pointer variable points to an integer variable? No, this is wrong. Why this is wrong? You will come to know as we go through this chapter. Okay. Technically, any type of pointer can point anywhere in the memory. This can be done that the pointer is of type float, but it is pointing to variable of type integer, but all pointer arithmetic is done relative to its base type. So it is important to declare the pointer correctly. Although you can do this, but you should not do this. Okay, because pointer arithmetic, which we will discuss in the next lecture, is done according to the data type of the pointer variable. So then you will come to understand what do we mean by these two statements and why can't we do this. Okay. So here is another example. Here what we have done, we have created integer variable 1 equal to 11. So this variable 1 contains the value 11. It is also shown in the diagram here. This is variable 1 in the memory. It is occupying 2 bytes and the value it is storing is 11, and it has a base address FFF4. Okay, this address is in hexadecimal form. Then we created another variable, variable 2. Variable 2 is also occupying some place in memory whose base address is FFF2 and the value it is holding is 22. Okay, then cout ampersand var I endl ampersand var 2, what it will do? These will print the addresses. Okay, so we will get the addresses of variable 1 and variable 2. So we will get the output FFF4 and FFF2. Okay, then we have created a pointer variable int star ptr. It means the base type is integer. It will hold the address of an integer variable and the name is ptr. Okay, name of the pointer is ptr. Then what we have done, pointer is equal to address of variable 1. So pointer is storing the address of variable 1. What the pointer will store? Pointer will store FFF4. Okay, which is the address of variable 1. Okay, and then when we try to print ptr, what it will show us? The contents of ptr. What are the contents of ptr? An address. Whose address? Address of variable 1. And what is the address of variable 1? FFF4. Okay, so it will give us FFF4. In the next statement, what have we done? We have changed the contents of ptr. Now ptr is equal to address of var2. So ptr contains the address of variable 2. So what is the address of variable 2? It is FFF2. So now ptr is equal to FFF2. So now ptr is pointing to variable 2. And when we try to print the value of ptr, it will give us FFF2. Right? Okay. So let us try to implement this program also to make the things more clear. Let us modify this program only. We have created two variables. Okay, and we print the addresses of those two variables. Then we declare pointer variable int star ptr, and ptr is equal to the address of variable 1. Then cout ptr endl. So because ptr is pointing to variable 1, it will print the address of variable 1. Okay, now we change the contents of ptr. Ptr is equal to address of variable 2, cout ptr. Now what it will show? It will show the address of variable 2. So the address of ptr1 is FF04, address of ptr2 is FF00. Okay, and when the pointer contains the address of the first variable, it is giving us the address of first variable. Then we change the pointer to contain the address of the second variable. So when we try to print this contents of ptr second time, here it is giving us the address of the second variable. Okay, let's go back to the slide. Then there are some syntax quibbles, syntax conventions. We should note that it is common to write pointer definitions with the asterisk closer to the variable name than to the type, like this. This is a char pointer, pointer to a character. Okay, and we have written asterisk closer to the name of the pointer variable. What is the name of the pointer variable? Char ptr. Okay, and we have placed asterisk closer to it. It doesn't matter to the compiler. You can place asterisk closer to the data type, or you can place the asterisk closer to the variable name. Okay, but placing the asterisk next to the type helps to emphasize that asterisk is part of the variable type. Okay, if you write it here, if you write char star, okay, like this, instead of here, it emphasizes that this is a pointer to a character, okay, not the part of the name. Okay, if you define more than one pointer of the same type on the same line, you need only insert the type pointed to once. Okay, it means if you want to create 3 pointers to a character, you will write the data type pointed to by the character only once, but you need to place the asterisk before each variable name. For example, here char star ptr1 star ptr2 star ptr3, right? Means data type has to be written only once, but asterisk has to be written before each pointer variable name, right? Or you can use the asterisk next to name approach like this. Okay, char star ptr1 star ptr2 star ptr3. These are just the writing conventions. You can follow any one. Okay, but this naming convention is usually followed when you are declaring only one variable of a type. Write the asterisk closer to the type. Okay, otherwise you can use any of these two writing conventions. Okay, and what is the difference between the dereference operator and the pointer operator? We have seen the use of asterisk in 2 scenarios. What are those scenarios? The asterisk can be used as the dereference operator. Dereference operator, remember, when we use m is equal to q is equal to star m. What is this? This means here we are using it as the dereference operator. It means that we are accessing the value stored at this address. And the other use is the asterisk is also used to declare the pointer variables like int star m. Here we use the asterisk to declare the pointer variable. Okay, the dereference operator precedes the variable like this and means the value of the variable pointed to by, means the value of the variable whose address is stored in m. And the asterisk used in a declaration means we are creating a pointer. Okay, we are creating a pointer. So int star ptr means we are creating a pointer to an integer. This is used in declaration. And here what are we doing? We are doing star ptr equal to 37. This means we are using it as dereference operator or indirection operator. What does this mean? It means that you have created a pointer variable. Suppose there is a variable a, int a. What this statement will do? It will create a variable a in the memory with some base address. Okay, but we have not put any value into it. Then we create a pointer variable. We declare a pointer variable int star ptr. So ptr will be declared. Then ptr contains the address of a. So what is the address of a? 1000. It means the ptr is pointing to variable a. Then star ptr equal to 37. What does this mean? Star ptr. What is ptr? What are the contents of ptr? The address. what is this address? This is 1000. Okay, and it is equal to 37. What does this mean? This means the value, here asterisk means the value at address 1000 is equal to 37. So indirectly we are placing value 37 into the variable a. Now when you try to print the value of a, cout a, what will be the output? Output will be 37. Okay, using the dereference operator to access the value stored in an address is called indirect addressing, or sometimes dereferencing the pointer, right? Now let us try to implement this thing in code blocks before moving forward. Okay, so in order to make things clear, let us implement that. Int a, I have declared a variable, but I have not placed any value into this variable. Then I declare a pointer to an integer whose name is ptr. Okay, and ptr contains the address of a. Okay, then I indirectly change the value, star means the value at address ptr. What is the address in ptr? The a's address, equal to some value. Okay, so it will change indirectly the value of a. Let us try to see what is the value of a. Value of a. And also let us try to print the value of a before this indirection operation. Indirection. Here after indirection. Okay, before indirection it is giving us some unknown value, because when you create a variable but do not initialize it, it contains a garbage value, so it is giving us a garbage value. But after indirection, after changing the value of a through the pointer indirectly, it is giving us the value 56, the value which we stored, which we put into the variable a through this pointer, right? So let's go back. Okay, so next is changing the contents of a variable using a pointer. This is another example, although the example we just saw, here also we changed the contents of a variable. Initially the variable contained garbage value, and then the variable contained the value 56. Okay, you can use a pointer not only to display a variable's value but also to perform any operation you would perform on a variable directly. All the operations you can perform on the variable directly can also be performed indirectly through the pointers. So here is another example. Here what are we doing? We are creating two variables, variable 1 and variable 2, and then we have created a pointer to an integer. Pointer contains the address of variable 1. Then through the pointer we are setting the variable's value equal to 37, and then variable 2 is equal to star ptr. Now what is happening here? Let us draw this figure. Suppose variable 1 and variable 2, here we declare two variables, so in memory they will be placed somewhere. Okay, suppose 1000 is the base address of this variable and 1002 is the address of this variable. Okay, Then we have created another variable, that is ptr. Ptr is a pointer, okay, and pointer to an integer, okay. Then pointer contains the address of variable 1. What is the address of variable 1? It is 1000. It means this pointer is pointing to variable 1. And then star ptr equal to 37. The same thing is happening here, means the value at address stored in ptr, the address stored in ptr is 1000, the value at that address is 37. So we are indirectly putting 37 here. And then variable 2 is equal to star ptr. What does this mean? It means that the value of variable 2 is equal to star, means value at address ptr. What is the address in ptr? 1000. What is the value at 1000? Value at address 1000 is 37. So variable is equal to, variable 2 is equal to 37, okay. Cout variable 2, when we try to print variable 2, we can verify that variable 2 is 37, okay. So the statement which we encountered here, variable 2 is equal to star ptr, it is same as saying that variable 2 is equal to variable 1, okay. Now let us modify that program. So we created a variable a, and then we created a pointer which pointed to a. Through this pointer we changed the value of a. Now let us create another variable b, okay, and b is equal to ptr, the value at address stored in ptr. And then when we try to print the value of b, what happened? Value at b, then what it will print? Let us see. There is an error, stray 305 in program, in function int mean, int b, I think there should be no problem. Okay, let us copy this to a new program. Oh, there is I am using a special character, cout. Okay, now it will be fine. Hash include. Okay. So b, we can see that indirectly we put the value of a into b through this pointer, b equal to pointer star ptr, okay. So b also contains the value same as that of a, okay. Let's return back. Okay, so moving forward, we can summarize the things which we have learned so far. First, int v, what does it mean? It defines a variable of type int. Int star p, what does it mean? It means we are creating a pointer of type int, means it will contain the addresses of integer variables. P equal to address of v, this statement will assign the address of v to the pointer variable a or pointer variable b. V equal to 3, it will assign value 3 to v, and star p equal to 3, it is also same as the above statement v equal to 3. It means it is assigning the value 3 to v.